Thank you. Suddenly remembered that. Right, so process for collecting reviews.
We're not shared.
Oh God, I'm not doing very well today, am I? Here we go. Process for collecting reviews. So this is my advice, okay? You can take from this what you feel will work for you. But when onboarding your client, so in the very initial stages, find out what social media that they use. So if you have a client questionnaire or a series of things that you ask people, ask them, oh, do you use Facebook? Do you use LinkedIn? Do you use Google? Because then you will know which platform to direct them to leave you a review. When you finish doing the work, ask for the review and send the relevant link. So if you already know that your client uses Facebook, or they use LinkedIn, or they use Google, you can send them the relevant link for them to leave you a review. Now, you need a Google business page in order to collect reviews on Google. So if you haven't got one of those, you need to set that up because it's really, really important anyway for loads of reasons, SEO and local search. On LinkedIn, you need to have a completed profile on LinkedIn, and you will need to be a first-degree connection with the person you're asking a recommendation from to leave you a recommendation. And on LinkedIn, you have the ability to send a request for a recommendation. So it's quite a good tool. On Facebook, I have a lot of people that say to me, I've taken the review buttons off Facebook because people have left me negative reviews and, you know, I don't want Facebook reviews, and that's perfectly fine. What I would say is that sometimes you do get rogue negative reviews on Facebook. Always respond to them. You know, at the end of the day, you have to weigh it up. You know, if you've got potentially the reach of getting tens of hundreds of whatever good reviews, the odd one or two bad ones are not that damaging as long as you respond to them. So you've got to weigh it up because a lot of it depends on your business, but a lot of people will go to Facebook and look at reviews. Sometimes having an incentive to leave reviews works. So a lot of the companies that I've worked with, we've said things, we've done promotions like everybody who leaves a review this month will get entered into a prize draw. Or offering a customer a voucher for their next product or sales purchase sometimes works well. You'll see a lot of big companies doing this anyway. So it's a really kind of trusted way of getting reviews where people will be incentivized in order to leave a review. Something that works well for quite small businesses is handwritten notes, thanking them for their business, and in that handwritten note, enclosing details of where they can leave you a review. And if anybody ever sends you a handwritten note, people often ask me, well, what do I do with it? Someone has actually just sent me a handwritten testimonial. You know, take a photograph of it, pop it onto your website, put it onto social media. You can take the quote off of that and put it onto your website or into a graphic as well. There's no harm in that. I mean, it depends on your client base. And if you work, for example, with a lot of elderly people, you may get a lot of handwritten notes and they are making a bit of a comeback. And I'll often get flowers from clients, or I get bottles of champagne and things like that when we've done a successful campaign. And, you know, I keep all the little, I've got some here on my shelf behind my laptop. I keep all the little cards that people send me. The other thing you could do is add links to your email footers to basically say leave a review and the link to where people can leave that. And if you've got business cards and stationery, make sure the links are really clear about where people can leave reviews for you. If you have a waiting area in your business, so for example, I've worked with chiropractic clinics, physiotherapy clinics, we've had like boards, and also a hair salon that I've worked with in Luton. We had a board made up so when people were sitting there waiting, they could look up and leave reviews. And also one of the clients we worked with, we got iPads which were actually chained to the desk, but they were there. And when people left the clinic, whilst they were making their next appointment and just kind of finishing the appointment off, the receptionists were trained to say to people, oh, our Google page is open on the iPad, could you leave us a review? So again, depends what you do and it depends on your setup. But if you are customer facing and you've got a laptop or an iPad open at the time when a customer leaves you, that is the ideal point to ask them to leave you a review. I've already mentioned Google reviews, Facebook reviews, LinkedIn recommendations. There are other sites. Yelp has a review system on it. TripAdvisor, depends what you do again. Check a Trade, great for Anne because she does kitchens and things. I don't know if she uses that. And as I said, you can add these testimonials to your website and create social media graphics. The other thing I would advise you to do is keep a track of the reviews that are going out about their business. You should have a Google alert set up on your name, your business, that will send anything that appears anywhere on the internet about you and your business on public websites. You know, this is not just going to be reviews. It could be anything that anyone's saying about you. And then it gives you the opportunity to check what's being said about you. And also if someone has said something negative. I had a client once who rang me in tears because her Google alert had thrown up a blog somebody had written about her, quite detrimental blog actually, and she was very upset about it. But if she hadn't had the Google alert on it, she would never have seen it. And then she was able to talk to this person and sort things out and get the blog taken down. And, you know, things happen where people don't always do things in the right way, in the way that we would like them to. And I call them keyboard warriors, and they take to their keyboard and start bashing out this vile on the internet about you or your business. And if you don't know about it, it's hard to respond. It will index things like tweets where your name's mentioned as well. So it's worth setting up Google Alerts. It's free to do. Just go to Google Alerts. It'll tell you how to do it. When you've got these lovely reviews, use them for your website. And I would recommend not just having a testimonial page, but weaving reviews into the copy on your website. So if you're talking about a particular service that you offer, then put a sentence or two of a testimonial into that copy and link it to the testimonial page. Don't just have one page of testimonials, just literally weave it all through. Great if you could get some video testimonials. They're so powerful. Before and after photos as well are very powerful. I think video testimonials now are just like gold. So if you can get those, brilliant. You can also use them, as I said earlier, brochures and business cards. I recommend people could have a quote on their business card from a satisfied client, for example. If you're thinking of entering awards, you need good reviews. To do well in any business awards, you will need good reviews online. And also you can use them when pitching for new business. So whenever we do a pitch for a new client, we will have on our slide deck some quotes from satisfied clients, and they will have been taken from LinkedIn because therefore they're verified testimonials. So that just gives you a walkthrough. Oh, one sec. Let me just stop sharing on testimonials. So I thought, as we were quite a small group today, I'm going to put you into some breakout rooms. I'll get Donna to do that, but I thought it might be good if in the breakout rooms you had a quick look at each other's testimonials that were online and basically gave some ideas about, you know, what you could do to improve those. And it'd just be useful to quickly go around to everybody now and just say, you know, where are you at with testimonials? Oh, so Donna's saying she had a woman who tried to read. No, you can tell us about that. What happened there, Donna?
So I had some friends that fell out with me, and one of them had a shoot for her little baby boy. We'd gone to the park, beautiful images, you know, she loved them. They came and picked them up. I always delivered my images in a beautiful white gift bag with ribbon, beautiful display box, etc. Got home, I was told that she had them all the way up her stairs. She was so happy with them, and then they fell out with me, and she wrote on there that my customer service was terrible, my images were terrible, and nobody should ever use me. And then one of her other friends who'd never even used me gave me a 1-star review as well.
Where was it? On Facebook or on Google?
On Facebook, yeah. And then they also started a campaign to try and get one of the other local photographers who I was actually in contact with and have spoken to more business than me by like bigging him up all over social media, sharing all of his stuff, telling everybody to go and follow him. And he was sat there completely oblivious to where this was coming from, saying, thank you guys so much for all the support. It's really great. And it was just so it was horrible. It was a horrible, horrible period.
How did you deal with that situation when you had the 1-star review? Did you comment underneath it?
No, I didn't engage because they were doing it because it wasn't a real review, you know. If it had been, I would have, but just engaging would have given them more attention. So I completely ignored it and just went to some of my actual customers who hadn't reviewed me yet and said, could you please leave me a nice review? And they did, to kind of push it down so that they weren't as obvious.
Oh, I'm so sorry you had that.
It was horrible. It was horrible. But yeah, it was hard at the time. And now I look back and think, oh, just like you say, keyboard warriors, people that can't say things to your face and are just doing things behind your back. It's horrid.
So it is really difficult to get reviews removed that are wrong. And I'll give you an example of this. One of my clients is a firm of accountants and shares a name which is very similar to a curry house. So they've had reviews like great curry. and I spotted these and I thought, oh my God, you know, they're a firm of accountants, they don't make curry. So we reported them to Google, and as far as I'm aware, they have now been taken off. But again, another client of mine said, oh my God, I've sacked this member of staff. They were a van leasing company. And she was convinced that he had set up several rogue Gmail accounts and started leaving negative reviews. So this business had hundreds of great reviews and then all of a sudden was deluged with all these 1-star reviews. So again, we did report it to Google. It took 6 months, but they did finally remove them because I think they need to then go and investigate those profiles. They probably get inundated with all of this stuff. So what my message really is, be persistent with Google. With Facebook, it's a nightmare trying to get anything negative that has been put up there. And there's the experience that Donna had incorrectly. You can try, but I've not really found very many people who've been successful in getting Facebook to remove stuff. So I think what you did, Donna, was the best thing. Try and get more positive reviews. I mean, there was a lady that used to come to Mums actually many years ago, Sam, and she had a problem with a woman with her wedding dress. She owned a wedding dress shop. And this woman obviously got all her friends to start putting negative reviews. She had brilliant reviews. And she got so upset and so frustrated with Facebook, and it was massively affecting her business. I just said to her, remove the review button on Facebook, and she did. So sometimes for some people, that is the only course of action open to you. Tori, where are you at with reviews? Because you're quite a new business, aren't you?
Yeah, so when I first started, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on WhatsApp, I'm on Facebook, I'm on everything basically. And I had lots of people who I had previously worked for as a secretary, and they left me really nice reviews. And then with my current clients, I've just had 2, and I didn't request it through LinkedIn. I just emailed them saying, please, could you send me a review? And they did, lovely reviews. And then I posted that on LinkedIn and Facebook. And I don't know whether that's the right way of doing it.
No, it's not. And the reason for that is that the more LinkedIn recommendations you have, the higher your profile will rank in search.
Yeah.
So do it the other way round. Send them a connection request. Yeah. And what you could do is send them a copy of what they've already given you and just say, for example, you can just copy and paste this into a recommendation and make that a process, because I know, because I run LinkedIn training, that people will search on LinkedIn for those important recommendations. I get a lot of my work because I've got over 100 recommendations on LinkedIn. So I know people look at them. And as a VA, if I was searching for a VA, I would immediately go and look for your recommendations.
Yeah, so, and I've got a number of them on LinkedIn. It's just these last couple that I
get them on there. Yeah, I really recommend that, and make that a process really. Once you've worked with the client or you're working with the client, just send them a recommendation request on LinkedIn and they do it. You do have to be first degree connection with them though.
Yeah, no, I am. So
and then put them onto your website as well.
Cool.
Brilliant. Ella, how are you getting on? Are you a new business, Ella, or have you been trading for a while?
Yeah, no, I'm shiny, brand new. So similarly, I emailed a few of my first few clients to say, can you just send a testimonial through? And then I kind of took like just short sentences out of the paragraph and put them into like a nice format. And I've been sharing those on my website and on Instagram, which are the only two sort of formats I use at the moment.
Try and get them to leave them on Google or Facebook or LinkedIn.
Yeah, so I was nodding along when you were talking about Google, because I actually haven't put my business on Google even yet, slightly because of what you were saying about it being difficult to remove simplified information. It makes me a bit nervous, but I realise it's important.
At the end of the day, the whole thing with Google and having Google reviews, it powers your search again, and having that company page on Google is so important. So I think in the main, the benefits outweigh the negatives. And you're always going to get, as I said, the odd idiot every so often, and if you do a good job, you probably won't have any.
I'll definitely look at getting that set up.
Can I just say about Google is it's actually quite difficult to get the link to do the review on Google. So once you've got it, don't lose it. But the point being is, if somebody is that intent on saying something nasty about you on Google, they've got to put a lot of effort into doing that. They're probably not going to bother. So I don't think the negative reviews on Google are as bad as they can be on Facebook, because it's a little bit harder to do it. Just saying.
That's good to know. Thanks, Donna.
Carol, how are reviews coming along for you? Do you get reviews from your clients?
Yeah, Facebook, LinkedIn, Google. And then I also use them on my website as well.
And have you found that anyone's mentioned seeing those and kind of when they're making their buying decision with you?
No, but it certainly helps with the search function. Definitely.
Brilliant, because Carol's been in business a long time, so she's an old hand.
Oh, generally, Debbie.
You're not. Raina, you're the one out of everybody I think could be very sensitive getting reviews, because it's very personal. How have you dealt with that so far?
I actually did what you said don't do, put Mr. B or Miss whatever. I've recently, I was surprised actually, one of the clients I dealt with recently, she's willing to give me a testimonial, which she's done, really nice testimonial. She's willing to do a video.
Oh, wow.
Because it made so much difference to her life. She was in Australia and it was on Zoom, but it made a lot of difference to her life. And so she's like, okay, I'll do it. And she's given me a review. She's put a Google review up. And so it's getting there, but not everyone's willing to do that. I think because she'd had her own business, she was aware of what, benefits there are. And she was willing to do that for me, which was really nice. One question for you, Debbie. How do you, is it okay to approach past clients to do it?
Oh yes, definitely, 100%.
So it doesn't matter how old they are or anything, if they're still willing to go ahead and put, because Google, I didn't know how to link it to the Google reviews initially, and I've just sussed that out. So I'll probably go back to my past clients and ask them to do it now.
I would. I mean, as a nice. I don't think that it necessarily works sending a bulk email. I think a nice personal email, spend half an hour sending a few out and just saying, look, it would really mean a lot to my business. It means that I've got some wording actually I can send you, but it basically says, look, it means a lot to my business and also means I can help other people like you. And it helps people make that buying decision. So I've got some wording and I'll dig it out and send it to you, because it is sensitive what you do. And I've worked with, even people who specialise in working with survivors of domestic abuse. And even they've managed to get video where the face isn't in it and, the back of the head. They've managed to get testimonials from people who've been through their program and are literally 2 or 3 years down the line, and actually that is the good time to contact those people, because their life has moved on, probably because of some of the work that you've done, but at the time when they finish with you might not be the best time for them to leave a review, because it's all still very sensitive and they're still trying to work through it. But in 2 or 3 years time, so I think you should be contacting those people you've worked with previously, because once you're in that right place in your life, then that's the moment when you're willing to open up and say, yeah, actually, I
do also find, like, sometimes when I've worked with people, you know, or most of the time actually, they're, by the end of the 6 sessions that I do, they're like, yeah, you know, you made so much difference, and that momentum is there then. Because they're like, that's changed and that's changed and that's changed, you know.
Yeah, well,
so it's sort of that's what I need to.
Yeah, I mean, you know your clients better than me, so you need to harness whatever you feel will work best. Brilliant.
Thank you.
Well, we come on to the building trade. We come on to Anne, which is obviously can be quite a tricky trade. So how have you found reviews, and what's your take on it?
I think I have to be clear that I'm not the builder, so
no, I know your kitchen stuff.
But what I try and do is I offer a design service with a consultancy, hence the title of the company, which I changed from a different name from earlier on, because I'm very clear that I'll happily introduce somebody to a builder that's worked for one of my previous clients on the basis that they meet other builders to compare to the person I'm introducing them to get a gauge of how our people handle things, because they may not like the person. And I think with builders, it's got to be a personal recommendation. If anybody wants to use a builder that I work with, they have to come and see the client's work in a previous job, because that's how I've always worked. Because I mean, being fair, I was known as a kosher kitchen designer, so most of my clients are Jewish, and they're very, very happy to let other Jewish people come into their home at certain times of the week and have a look round. And that's your best, in my business, for me, that's my best way of working. As I'm not trying to do a national or very wide sort of area job, it's very, very difficult to do things. That's why COVID really crushed me, because I was used to going to lots of local families. One person being in your house, they said, do you want to go to somebody else? And then I'd say, well, so-and-so up the road's got my job, go and have a look at it. And that's how I worked. And suddenly, you know, I said to you before, Debbie, but last year was the worst I've ever had in my life. I can't explain it to people, but people would ring me up, but it wasn't a great time to go anywhere. With a builder, they have to check about liability insurance and things like that, because I'm not doing that type of the job. So I do say I'm a consultant, and I do say I'll work with anybody's builder. And if they find somebody else that they like, I'm happy to go to that builder's job and see their work.
Have you worked getting any reviews for your business, for you, or you're saying that all your work comes word of mouth, so you don't need to worry about that? Is that what you're saying?
Up until 18 months ago, my work is word of mouth. I do have reviews on my Facebook page.
Oh, brilliant.
And they are from all of my own clients. Unfortunately, I've listened to what you were saying before. I'm thinking I'm a bit of a lazy so-and-so. I should have asked people to put some more reviews up throughout last year when we weren't doing very much. So I'll have to start asking people to do that. But it's kind of, I think I specialise in sort of like Northwest London, South Hertfordshire. I do odd jobs in different places, and obviously I'm not silly, I won't turn down work on a consultancy basis.
But it's just good if people can go to your Facebook page and they can see some reviews on there. I think that's really good. And maybe on your to-do list, it's just chasing up a few people that you've done work for that you haven't got reviews from, just to freshen them up and put a few new ones there. Brilliant. Loretta, you're quite new to business, I think, too. Remind me.
Yes. Thank you very much. I've got a few things to say, actually. It's a very relevant topic. So with my FSD business, obviously, I get all the support from our head office, and they do a brilliant job in terms of getting testimonials, getting reviews, and getting video testimonials as well. We've got loads of them. But getting reviews, collecting reviews, and sort of having them positive is one side of of having reviews, but as Donna told her story today, for no fault of ours, we can sort of fall into this a little bit of a PR crisis with one nasty review. And consumers don't have time to sort of dig and understand what is happening there. It's all our responsibility. So I'm very pleased to know that FSB, Federation of Small Businesses, have a special service with regards to that. And it is possible to deal with Google, Facebook, and all these platforms if you know how to. Very often, just a well put letter could help. And I put a link in the chat room. There is a lot of material to read of how to deal with this type of a PR crisis that FSB gives to small businesses. But as a member, you are also covered for up to £10,000 if you actually do need to work with a PR agency to sort of correct this type of event and improve your reputation. Because at the end of the day, it's all about, I know it sounds a little bit maybe not nice, but it's all about speaking louder than the bad review. It's all about getting more positive reviews and showing, you know, all the aspects and all the good work that you actually do. And of course, to run sort of you do have to run a mini campaign if you encounter a bad review, and it could cost money if you really want a good strong effect as soon as possible. So I'm very pleased to say, you know, members and whoever are the members, it's part of the membership, and you can always sort of fall back on that support, the legal support of how to deal with that, the information, the practical support, you know, what you can do yourself, and then a little bit of money to cover expenses.
Well, that's brilliant. I didn't even know about that. I'm an FSB member myself.
There you go.
I didn't know. And I think that's really useful information to know. And I think it's always about how you manage things, always. And I think if you're seen to respond, this hairdressing salon that I had worked with, they had a woman who left a negative review on Google who'd had her hair done 3 months prior to that, saying she wasn't happy. And so they contacted me and said, oh, what should we do? And I said, well, respond to it and offer her an appointment to come into the salon to discuss it, you know, be proactive, which they did. And I think when I'm looking at, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but when I'm looking at hotels on TripAdvisor, I weigh it all up. And if you're looking at a hotel that's got 300 good reviews, but 20 bad ones, the chances are it was unfortunate. Those 20 people had a bad experience on the day, on that weekend, and you have to weigh it up. And I think as long as your business has got a high percentage of positive reviews, the odd one or two that sneak in that are, you know, as I said earlier, the keyboard warrior ones, don't worry about it. And if it is really bad, then take Lorette's advice and look at how you can manage that, because it does depend on what's being said. So I think it would be good to go into some breakout rooms, talk to each other about your current status with reviews, and also maybe see who you could recommend to each other. Have you got your hand up there, Carol?
I have. Just a couple of points. I think also with negative reviews, I think it's also important to look at the date of negative reviews as well, because it could be, I always look at the 5-star reviews and the 1-star reviews if I'm looking at something. And I think if you've got something that is a negative review that's dated 2 years ago, then it may not be even relevant anyway. Is one thing. I also, the second one is a question, is what do you think about independent sites or quasi-independent like Trustpilot and FIFO in terms of reviews?
Well, there's a lot about these sites in terms of Trustpilot and FIFO, because again, there is talk that ClickFarms got involved with these sites and was companies were employing, and for those of you who don't know what ClickFarms are, they are basically setups where people are paid to leave reviews or do Facebook likes or Instagram likes. You know, when you see people trying to sell you en masse followers. Well, there are companies that are set up in the Far East mostly that will sit and leave reviews on Trustpilot, and so you will see